The Big Thirst by Charles Fishman, pages 186 to 187. But for Arthur, it's the right amount, and really not that much. For the land he owns, 10,450 acres, it comes to just 5.5 inches of water on average across every square foot of dirt, over 9 or 10 months to grow for a good growing season underneath Australia's blazing sun. Which is to say, in order to feed 100,000 people for a year, Arthur needs just 5.5 inches of water, his land and his labor. But Arthur only gets to buy the water he's entitled to if there's enough water in the Murray River. Each year, he gets some allocation of the 6,000 megaliters based on the water available in the dams and the river. From 1991 to 1999, for 9 years in a row, he got 100%. Over 3 years, from 2007 to 2009, Arthur received enough of his water allocation to put 5.5 inches on just 950 acres. During a time when he should have planted, watered, and harvested 31,350 acres of crops, his land 3 times over, he's had enough water to irrigate just 3% of it. It comes to 1/10 of an inch of water per acre per month. A kangaroo peeing in the right place could have changed the productivity of his fields if there had been any reason to plant them in the first place. The last 3 years have been among the worst for water. The last 3 years have been among the worst for water in this area in recorded history, says Arthur. And I've written this next year off as well, but I find it hard to believe that the extremes are going to become the norm. Even in years when he gets all 6,000 megaliters, managing water is as much a part of Arthur's work as the planting or the harvesting. Arthur thinks the rain is coming back. He thinks the water is coming back. But after 8 years of drought, he is too much in touch with the daily rhythm of weather, sunshine, and dry dirt not to have an almost elegiac view of the future. I do not think the halcyon days are gone, he says. I think the days of big water are gone. The anger and emotion in Toowoomba about how to secure the city's water supply were deeply felt and personal. And yet, while the gardens may have withered, while people may have felt like they were living in a third world country because they had to bucket water to their outside plants, the water never for an hour stopped flowing in Toowoomba's mains. While the water shortage felt intensely personal, even urgent, it was for almost everyone a purely political conversation, even a theoretical one. No one in Toowoomba risked having his life endangered or even substantially altered by recycled water, or by Toowoomba's steadily emptying reservoirs. In the Riverina region where Arthur farms, water scarcity is now the dominant fact of life, driving farmers to sell their water rights or their land or both, causing some to commit suicide, closing businesses that depend on farmers, slowly drying and emptying the farm towns, changing everyday life in ways big and small. This is what happens when you do not have enough water to do your work. Laurie Arthur's situation is not just caused by water scarcity, it is quite literally the very same water scarcity that caused Toowoomba's reservoirs to go dry, the scarcity that caused the water conflict there. But the water problems of a big rice farmer in a vitally productive agricultural area and how his water connects to the water needs and the economy of a huge slice of Australia pose a much different, equally important set of questions. Should Laurie Arthur and his colleagues be farming in an area that can't grow anything without irrigation water? Should they be growing rice, a particularly water-intensive crop, in an arid region? And does it matter that when watered, the soil loves to grow rice so much that Arthur and his fellow rice growers have the most productive rice fields in the whole world? The city of Adelaide relies on the same Murray River water as Laurie Arthur. When water runs short, do cities, with their densities of people and their intensity of economic activity, always trump farmers who are small in number but use water in quantities that are hard to grasp? The farms, of course, are no less vulnerable to economic destruction from lack of water than the cities, and the farms are no easier to restore or replace when the water itself returns. But how do you weigh a single farmer and the food he raises that can feed 100,000 people in the city against the water needs of those very same 100,000 people. And perhaps hardest of all, who decides?